What's going on, guys? So today I want to share something very special with you, and that is, of course, my Dragon Ball Z VHS collection. I have been waiting patiently for many, many years for me to have my own house in order to dig these tapes out of the bowels of my parents' house in the boxes that they have been in for probably 2 decades now, and finally be able to display them. And I have. And I'm very, very stoked about it. I'm going to add some more shelving and more like DBZ merchandise and stuff like that in this, so it has its own little pocket corner within my house. I wanted to share this with you guys for a couple of reasons. One, to just kind of show off the collection itself, but also because this means more to me than you could possibly imagine. Obviously, I'm in that age bracket, so when Dragon Ball Z first premiered in the West, when it first came over to America, when it aired on Cartoon Network and then Toonami Block, which was this block of shows of action shows, but then they eventually got Dragon Ball Z, and it just took the world by storm. It's very important to me for many reasons. Number one, this is the first series that I ever collected, and that's including, movies and TV shows and manga and comics and everything. Dragon Ball Z, I think, was the first thing that made me want to be a collector, that made me want to actually have and own these items with the VHSs that came out. And whether it would be me bugging my parents or me working for some money or whatever I had to do, I would always have to get the next set of tapes that came out. Obviously VHS is a relic of the past. Some of you probably maybe have never even watched a VHS before, which is hilarious to me, but that's how it was back in the day, man. That's what we had. Now I have other VHSs too. I'm going to show you kind of briefly. That I kind of dug out of my parents' house that I had, but this is what's very near and dear to my heart. It's very near and dear to me because obviously, again, like a lot of people within my age bracket, Dragon Ball Z came over and there was nothing else like it at the time. Now we are bombarded with a ridiculous amount of anime, and I love it. I love that I can go onto Crunchyroll and I can watch hundreds of different anime shows that are instantly available. But that's not how it used to be in the 90s and the early 2000s. You pretty much got whatever you got on television. A lot of it was super edited down for TV because anime was traditionally a lot more violent, a lot more kind of sexually explicit, even the shows that are made for teenagers. So a lot of stuff was cut out and you got watered down edited versions. But as a kid, you didn't really know. You just sort of accepted what you got and you enjoyed it. As well, if there was an anime over in Japan, you probably wouldn't really know about it until it came over. And unlike now where anime is probably instantly dubbed and comes out, a week or a month later in a dubbed version, you didn't get anime here in America until, years after it came out in Japan. Dragon Ball Z, I think, started in Japan in '89, and we didn't get it to the mid to late 90s. So we're talking almost an entire decade before Dragon Ball Z even came over. But yeah, Dragon Ball Z was one of those shows that it really spoke to me as a child, and I've talked about this before in videos, but the reason why it meant so much to me, if I boil it down, when I reflect on it as an adult, I wasn't quite aware of this as a child, but as an adult, when I reflect on it and I kind of truly understand why, other than just the flashy, awesome, cool fight scenes and stuff like that, is, I've talked about this before, and not to go into a long story, I'll keep it very short, but, I was bullied, I was picked on, I was teased, I was the short, scrawny, nerdy, ginger kid, I was not the cool kid in school. When I was a kid, this kind of stuff cool, comic books were not cool, video games were not cool, all of the stuff that has gotten a little bit more mainstream, acceptability in modern day was not cool when I was 11, 12, 13 years old. So, I was bullied and picked on a lot, but the thing I loved about Dragon Ball Z is that it inspired me to stand up for myself and to train and to get stronger, not just physically, but to be able to understand that no matter how impossible the odds in front of me are, there is a way for me to overcome it if I push myself to. The great thing about Dragon Ball is that all the characters, even though they are super strong, a lot of them weren't just gifted their strength. I mean, obviously Goku's a Saiyan, so he's naturally stronger, but he still had to push himself. He still had to train. He still had to go through ordeals. He still fought dozens of enemies that were more powerful than him, and he worked his way up to being strong. So it showed me that if you want to get to a point where you are strong and confident and able to handle every situation, that you have to work for it. And that's what inspired me to get into martial arts. And I did martial arts when I was a teenager. I haven't done it I quit way too early, I'll be honest. I kind of punked out on that one. But probably from about 14 to 19 years old, I did martial arts. And the whole reason I got into it to begin with was because of Dragon Ball Z. So I was obsessed with the show. I loved the show. And so having its own little corner in my house to display and to kind of showcase not just the series, but specifically the same exact tapes that I would watch when I was a child is something very important to me. And obviously when chicks come over and they see an entire Dragon Ball Z VHS collection, they immediately drop their pants and we like bang, and it's like amazing. So if you want to get like chicks in your house, like obviously you want to have a big Dragon Ball Z VHS collection. That's pro tip for picking up chicks, just putting that out there. But it does mean a lot to me, man. And the other thing that's strange about it is that Dragon Ball Z had a very, very weird release in the United States. Like, things were so it's hard to explain if you weren't there. Like, everyone around my age kind of knows if we're big anime fans, but it was so radically different back then than it is now. There are multiple different weird ways that Dragon Ball Z was released. First of all, obviously Dragon Ball came first. And there was like a brief Dragon Ball dub, but like there's so much ridiculous perverted humor that like wasn't appropriate for American kids, so they tried to edit around it, and it just like it didn't hit. And so they kind of skipped over that and they just went straight to Dragon Ball Z because it was more action oriented, and they changed the dub a little bit to make it a little bit more like superhero-y. And then they took out the entire soundtrack and added in like rock music, which, look, it's what I grew up on. Like there's that like Bruce Faulconer music that I adore it. Like it gets me hyped as shit. Like I listen to that in the gym. That's how much I love that music. But I at least understand it's not what Dragon Ball Z was originally from. But even before that, there's like multiple dubs. So when it first came out, they were dubbed by the Ocean Group from Canada. So the first 2 seasons of Dragon Ball Z came out with that dub, and then they kind of stopped doing that. But then it got super popular on Toonami that they wanted to continue it, but I guess like something with the expenses. There's like the whole like story out there you could look up if you wanted to. But basically, when they went to season 3. Which was like the Frieza saga and stuff, they switched voice actors. So it actually completely changed from the Ocean Group to just Funimation doing the dub. So we had to deal with the wrong music. We had to deal with a dub that we got used to as kids, but then all of a sudden the dub shifted. The music changed because they had to use different music also. And not to mention the fact that with all of the editing and taking out super violent moments and sexual scenes and stuff like that, we got to a point where about like 15 full episodes total have been completely removed from like the original run of runtime. So like we didn't get full actual like uncut DBZ in its entirety until the DVD like box sets came out later. So this collection here, what I have is mostly the TV edits. So there's a couple of different things to note. So one thing to note is that the first 2 seasons were done by the Ocean Group. So these VHS cases look radically different than the Funimation ones. I'll even show you one side by side, where this was the final one done by the Ocean Group, where they would actually make their own covers, and these covers look amazing. But then when Funimation took over, they were like so lazy, they literally just took a screenshot of just this thing from the episode and use that as the cover, and that's what they did all the way through. So I much prefer the Ocean dub covers. I think they look so much better. They're so much more creative. Like the artwork is so much better than just using a screenshot. So that's kind of funny. You can also see the logo difference in the Dragon Ball Z, the color difference in it. So it's really strange how they chose to kind of change that. Now, also, a lot of this that I have of the collection, these are the TV edited versions. So when the VHSs came out, they would release 2 versions of them. They would release the uncut, unedited version of DBZ that did not air on TV, and then they would also release the TV version. So I I guess unfortunately or not, most of what I have is the edited TV version. Now, I don't really mind that per se because I'm not going to be watching these tapes as my true like rewatch of Dragon Ball Z. Like I wouldn't choose the tape version to watch, but I do kind of like that it's the TV version that I have because that is what I watched as a kid. So it kind of remains authentic to the type of Dragon Ball Z that I watched as a kid. So I kind of like that. Now the other thing here is that technically I don't have the entire series. I am missing a few. One thing that I'm very upset about is I am missing the very first arc, the Saiyan Saga, but I did used to have this on VHS. I had it in a big box set that it came with, and I cannot find it for the life of me. I think it's been lost. I think I lost it in a previous apartment that I lived at, so I actually don't have the entire Saiyan Saga right now. So I have to, now that they're finally displayed, I gotta find a way to get that. I also do not have the last 4 tapes of the Cell Games saga. And what I've been looking at online is that those tapes are very rare and extremely hard to find, so it's going to be very difficult for me to find those. The Saiyan Saga, it looks like I can find, I've seen some online, then they're selling for around like 70 to 80 bucks, which isn't really what I want to spend, but it's at least it's not like so ridiculous. Like it's doable. Like if I really want to complete the collection, I am willing to drop that money on it if I have to. But the Cell Game tapes, I don't know where I'm going to find those. You also might be interested to know that Dragon Ball, before Dragon Ball Z, did eventually come to the West as well and did eventually air on Toonami. And they did start to make VHS tapes of Dragon Ball. I don't have any tapes of Dragon Ball, but they did make some, but they did not make the entire series. About midway through of Dragon Ball, it was kind of in that transitional time between DVD and VHS, and I think they just pretty much gave up on releasing the VHS tapes, whether they weren't selling well or people wanted Dragon Ball Z and not Dragon Ball. I'm not really sure which is more likely, but it was also, DVD was getting bigger, so if I did try to collect Dragon Ball, that will be extremely difficult to find, and the whole series was never released on VHS anyway. Another strange thing, moving even further, is that Dragon Ball GT eventually came out too, and I have a few VHS tapes of Dragon Ball GT. But again, similarly to how they started with Dragon Ball Z instead of Dragon Ball, when Dragon Ball GT starts, the entire first arc is sort of like a comedy. Like most people that are fans don't find it very good until it gets into the Baby Saga. They literally started the VHS run with the Baby Saga, so they skipped over a dozen or more episodes to try to get to the action moment sooner. So if you notice on the GT tapes, none of the episodes are numbered because they completely fucked up the order to try to get to the good shit to capitalize on like the action-based Dragon Ball Z show. So obviously what I'm saying is that Dragon Ball Z's release in America is extremely complicated, and I think that if you grew up during the process of it and watched it every step of the way, you understand what is what and like you kind of make sense of it. But if you were just coming into this now and say you wanted to have like an authentic, US Dragon Ball Z experience, it would be really difficult to do so because you would have to watch the first 2 seasons of the Ocean dub, edited version, then you would have to switch over to Funimation, edited version, and then there's also the uncut version. So it's sort of like, it's very, very strange. And then of course, as time went on, they made Kai and everything, and then we got into the absolute gutter trash that is Dragon Ball Super of today. Now, I gotta share this with you. So if you were also like a Toonami fan during that same era of Dragon Ball Z, you may remember this series called Tenchi Muyo. Now, Tenchi has a couple of different series, and they all are like alternate universes and alternate storylines. There's Tenchi Muyo, Tenchi Universe, Tenchi in Tokyo, Tenchi GXP, Tenchi War on Gemini or something. So there's like every single time they do a Tenchi series, it's a completely different continuity. And Tenchi is very strange to think about airing here in the US because it's not an action show, it's a harem comedy. And so how do you edit down a harem comedy for, kids to watch? I don't know why they decided to do that, but they did. And as a kid, I was a huge Tenchi fan also. I was sitting there thinking, man, Tenchi's such a dork. I'd be banging Ayeka right up against that Jirai tree. I don't even care. Anyways, but that's besides the point. The main thing is that apparently Tenchi Muyo also had VHS releases. What the fuck? I barely remember these. And here's the thing is like, I have been trying to find the original Tenchi Muyo series. They did release a Blu-ray a while back, but it's out of print. I can't find it. I've been wanting to rewatch this show for years, and I cannot find a decent copy of it that's under like 300 bucks, you know, because it's so rare at this point. But I actually have VHSs of the edited TV version of Tenchi Muyo. So obviously all the good shit is cut out, but if I wanted to, I could rewatch Tenchi Muyo now. This is crazy. And I don't understand why they would put Tenchi Muyo in these big like box Disney cases also. It makes it like the whole vibe of the show is like, you know, 7 space babes all want to bang the main character, and then at some point there's a lightsaber, there's a cat that turns into a spaceship. Like, for some reason, this was the show. But I was so excited to find this is the whole thing. This is the whole OVA. So there's like the first one and the second one. This is when the good shit happens. Kagato comes down and Tenchi fights him, and then there's more. Like this one, like Washu's trying to bang Tenchi to make a baby. Like this was on Toonami. This was literally what like 9-year-olds were watching. It was crazy, man. And then there's the finale of it. So that's a thing. There was Tenchi VHSs, and I'm upset that it's the edited TV version, but it still blows my mind that these existed. So I have these. I have the Tenchi Muyo series too. Now, to end the video, I figured it would only be fair that I show you that some of these tapes are still working, and I thought it would be fun to kind of just like see some of the trailers that are at the beginning of these tapes, because it's kind of wild. So I'll take you with me on that journey, and then we'll wrap up the video. Now, our only hope here is that my VHS player does not eat the tape, because that could be possible. But I figured I'd choose one that's kind of somewhere in the middle. So let's check out one of the Cell Saga videos, and let's see. Now, I'm gonna get really close to the VHS player for this, so you guys can all hear this amazing nostalgic sound. All you guys from the 90s, remember this? Oh, God, that's sexy. All right, so yeah, flash warning for anybody that's sensitive to light. Sorry it's kind of so dark in here. So we got our first trailer, man, it works. Now available. So yeah, so now you guys know that the Trunks Saga is available if you want to watch it. What else we got on here? The evil Dr. Gero. Android trailer. I love that every trailer on the Dragon Ball Z VHS is just for Dragon Ball Z.
Funimation. The wacky adventures of the Z Gang continue as Goku and Piccolo take city life in the upcoming.
Dude, who doesn't love the driving episode of Dragon Ball Z? That's what I should have picked, honestly. History of Trunks. I don't have that. Actually, yeah, I don't have that on VHS.
The touching story of young Goku in the Dragon Ball movie Mystical Adventure.
Okay, this is the best one. This is the best one. You guys want to know what websites and the internet looked like in like 2001. This was it, man. Look at this shit. This is ridiculous. I remember this, man. I specifically remember when they changed the website. Look at those goddamn buttons. Oh my God. Listen, if nostalgia is a drug, I will snort as many lines of that as possible. Dude, look at this shit. Oh my God. Old school fucking websites. Does anyone have any of those toys? I gotta get the toys back too. I got a box of them. T-shirts and other apparel, such as hats and boxes, wall scrolls, and standby. And this standby for Dragon Ball Z, that would air every single morning at like 6:30. It woke me up every single morning to watch DBZ. Yeah, man. Yeah, so that's my blast from the past for you guys. So that is my Dragon Ball Z VHS collection. So here's the thing. The thing that I want you guys to take away from this video is, number one, I want you to comment your story about your childhood with Dragon Ball Z, if you were as much of a fan of it as I was, if you had any of the VHS tapes, what they mean to you, anything like that, any Toonami memories, whether it's about Tenchi Muyo or, anything from that era, please let me know. Outlaw Star, Sailor Moon, you know, Kenshin, the original ones that we had over here. Tell me your stories, because I'm really curious to hear them. Also, if you guys, and I'm serious about this, if you guys have any way for me to obtain the missing VHS tapes that I have, which is the Saiyan Saga and the last 4 tapes of the Cell Saga, along with any Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball GT as well, please let me know, because now that I finally am able to display them in my house, it's going to drive my OCD my nuts until my collection is complete. So please let me know if you have any of that as well. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Thanks for coming down a trip to memory lane with me. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you for subscribing if you have. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you next time.